Alright, you guys, so I kind of jumped ahead real quick, and what I wound up doing is having to cut the camera off so I could make sure I knew what I was doing, because these 8-degree knuckle assemblies require being put on a certain way. So basically, when you go to put these on, if you aren't familiar with, you know, axles and geometry and all that stuff, you really got to make sure you don't put these on upside down or backwards or whatever, and I want to make sure I didn't do that, because I'm pretty sure I probably would have, and then I would have sat there on camera trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. So I just cut the camera off, made sure I had it right, and of course, as I was doing it, I did it wrong. So now I finally got her on correctly. Here is one side assembled, and we're going to go ahead and assemble the other side together just to let you guys see what goes into that, because there is some things you're going to have to do in order to get it to go together properly. And it does say in the instructions for the VVDs, I believe they're called VVDs, if that's right, what you're going to need to do. So pay attention to that when you get those. Read your instructions. Oh, actually, here they are. So on here it'll say, where is it? For max strength Vanquish built VVD to be as big as possible. That's important. This may cause some rubbing to the pin sleeve from the inside of the C-hub. It's not the only place it caused a little rubbing. I'm finding with these F9s here is it rubs from this bottom screw on there. You can see I did scratch it a little bit there. Let's let it focus. Alright, see that scratch right there on the VVD? That's because this bottom screw came through too far and hit that. So I had to back that out and grind it down, right? And luckily you can see how quick I noticed. It got that much of a scratch in before I noticed. So there's one thing you're going to want to pay attention to is that. And then the other thing is that on this right here, the front screw for the C-hubs, right, not the back one, but the front one, actually touches the inside of the VVD as well. So you'll have to grind that down just a hair. I don't recommend just using a smaller screw, because the next size screw down isn't going to give you enough meat in there. It's not going to grab enough. So you really only need to take off like 1, maybe 2 threads, and you should be good to go. So we're going to go ahead and get this other one assembled over here. I'm definitely loving these axles, man. The look is just amazing. Alright, so let's do this. Got all our screws here. Let's go ahead and just prep those now. I'm just using my Dremel real quick. You guys can use whatever you want, a file or whatever it may be. I'm not even using the proper bit, but it'll get the job done. Alright. So there's one. I use a handle on these because it's really just like a file. Make sure there's nothing extra that's going to cause you to mess up your threads. So when you go to put these in, you want to make sure the threads are clean. That's important. So there's one down. See this other one here? Alright. Should be enough there. Again, make sure your threads are clean. You don't want anything that can run inside of that and mess up your threads inside your axle or inside your C-hubs and steering knuckles. Alright, so now make sure you know which ones are filed down so you don't get those mixed up. Set those aside and then take the regular ones put over here. Already installed the bearing inside of that. So now what we're going to do is you're going to need these little guys. So from your stock axles, you're going to have to pull those. Or if you don't have any, oh, I'm blowing up over here. If you don't have any, then you're going to have to get some of those, because they don't come with the Vanquish Products parts. So install those. Boom. Boom. Make sure you install them from the inside facing out. Should be common sense, but hey, you never know. Alright, so now these have an R and an L on them for right and left, right? So you can see when you're looking towards the axle, right, the front of the truck, the L is actually on your right side, right? You got to think from the passenger, from the driver's seat, okay? So when you see the left and the right or whatever, think from the driver's seat. L is going to be on your left, R is going to be on your right, from the driver's seat, okay? Now on this, you're going to see there's going to be a short and a long, right? The bottom arm is longer than the top arm, right? So you're going to want that longer arm on the bottom. Slide that in place. Going to go like that there, right? Get that together. Now, I'm going to set this back down for a second. I'm going to go ahead and get our bottom ones. No, boom. The short guys here, we're going to run those in. We're going to take the one that we shortened, put a little Loctite on it. There we go, felt it right away. See, if you twist it backwards, just go reverse before you start threading it, you can usually feel it click when it seats properly. Alright, now we'll take the other screw. Make sure you're using a little Loctite. Don't need too much, but oh, there we go. Now that one's in. Looking good. You guys can see for yourselves there. Looking good. Now I do need to install a bearing. I think I might have forgot to install a bearing on the other one, which is okay. I can do that here in a minute. There should be a bearing, I believe, that sits right here. Yep. There it is. Get that bearing set right in there. Now, set that aside. Let's get our steering knuckle ready to go on. Now there's a trick for putting this on, at least a trick that I like to use when I put these steering knuckles on. What I do is I'll go ahead and I'll install these little guys first, right? These, whoop, really dropped it in my coffee. I don't even know what to say about that. Alright, let's try that again without dropping it in the coffee. That's not the trick I wanted to show you guys. Alright, so let's move the coffee somewhere else because I won't be drinking that now. What I'll do is I'll take this, I'm going to slide it in there, and I'm going to make sure that it's lined up with the other one. You don't have to, I just am OCD, so I want to make sure my two Vanquish products logos are aligned. If you put it in the other way, it won't be lined up properly. There we go. Get those lined up. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and this is my little trick here, or at least how I like to do it. I get my two little sleeves put into their spot, get the bearing already installed, right? Let that focus real quick. Then, is it going to focus? Is it going to focus? There we go. So then, it's still not focusing. There we go. Alright, so these little sleeves right here, I'll get those and I'll put them in first. Like that. Make sure they're in there. Make sure your bearing is in. And then now you can hold this by this if you want to. Alright. Take your axle. Make sure that your XVD or VVD is already installed. Rotate this like that to where your pinion's facing straight up in the air. Now you can take this, turn it like that, and just slide it into place. Now you're going to want to make sure that you already have Loctite on the two screws that you're going to need, and make sure that they are close by so you can grab them quickly. Slide that into place. Once the bearing seats, you can take your top screw, the one that you didn't have to modify because it'll go in the easiest most likely, get it lined up, and I always will rotate it backwards a little bit till it clicks, and then start screwing it in a little bit. There we go. Once that's in, now I can grab the other one. Oops, knocked it off the axle thing. Knocked it off my jack stand. Once that's in, it should stay in place, and you can move it around a little bit. Alright, so get that, and I'll get the other one and I'll line it up. Oh. Maybe I won't. What am I doing wrong here? That is not right. Or is it right? Yeah, maybe it is. Alright, so now... Oh, that is not right. What am I doing wrong? There we go. Get that lined up. Take the other one. That's not right. What did I do wrong? Something's not right here. Once again. Not really sure what it is, but something is not right. So let's take it apart and figure it out.